For 25 long years, fans carried a heavy burden of betrayal. He looked his loyal friend in the eyes, pointed toward the skies of the Vidian Forest, and made a solemn vow. He promised to return. He swore he would come back for Pidgeot the moment he finished his journey in the Orange Islands. But the Orange Islands ended. Johto began. Decades passed in the real world. Generations of trainers grew up, grew old, and moved on. Yet that loyal bird remained guarding the forest, seemingly abandoned by the boy who claimed to love his Pokémon more than anything else. Why did Ash lie? How could the hero of our childhood abandon his very second capture, leaving it to fend for itself in a dangerous wilderness? We felt the sting of that broken promise every single time Ash returned to Pallet Town. He walked past that very forest time and time again. He visited Bulbasaur. He visited Charizard. He even reunited with Butterfree. But Pidgeot sat alone, a forgotten relic of the original Kanto journey. Fans turned this moment into a massive joke, a dark meme painting Ash as a careless and forgetful trainer. But the truth is entirely different. We were all deceived. To understand the magnitude of this event, we must rewind the clock back to the very beginning. We need to examine the profound bond between a boy and his bird. We have to analyze the massive tactical sacrifice Ash made that day. And most importantly, we must uncover the hidden translation secret that warped our perception of this tragic goodbye. Pidgeotto was never just a background member of the Kanto team. When Ash started his journey, he possessed only a stubborn Pikachu and a newly caught Caterpie. He desperately needed a reliable fighter. He needed a scout. He needed an aerial defender. Pidgeotto filled all of these roles with unyielding loyalty. Whenever Team Rocket launched a surprise attack from their Meowth balloon, who did Ash call upon to pierce the envelope? Whenever a wild Pokémon fled into the thick brush, who took to the skies to track it down? It was always Pidgeotto. This bird served as the unsung backbone of the original Kanto squad. While Charizard threw tantrums and refused to listen, Pidgeotto followed every single order. While Squirtle and Bulbasaur provided comic relief and raw elemental power, Pidgeotto delivered consistent utility. It carried the team through the darkest forests and the most treacherous mountains. Yet despite this immense value, Ash realized he had to surrender his greatest tactical advantage. Leaving Pidgeot behind was an astronomical loss for a young trainer. Think about the strategic implications. Ash stripped himself of his only flying-type mount. He surrendered his primary method of aerial defense right before embarking on a challenging new quest in the Orange Islands. An archipelago region practically demands a flying Pokémon for navigation. Ash knew this. He recognized the profound disadvantage he would face without his winged companion. He knew he was walking into unknown territory without his most reliable scout. But Ash did not make this choice lightly. He looked at the situation with the maturity of a true master. He witnessed a crisis that required intervention. He saw a flock of innocent creatures facing sheer terror, and he knew his own ambition and convenience could never outweigh the safety of those innocent lives. He chose to cripple his own team to ensure the survival of others. The threat was not a random encounter. This was deeply personal. We must look back to the very first day of the Kanto journey. When Ash threw a rock at a wild Spearow, he ignited a terrifying chain of events. That single Spearow called its entire flock, initiating a brutal attack that nearly cost Pikachu its life. Ash and Pikachu barely survived that encounter. They moved on, but that Spearow never forgot. It harbored a vicious grudge, feeding on anger and resentment. By the time Ash returned to Pallet Town after the Indigo League, that very same Spearow had evolved. It became a massive, terrifying Fearow. It took command of the entire local flock. It ruled the skies above Route 1 and the Vidian Forest with an iron beak, and it sought vengeance. But instead of attacking Ash directly, this Fearow targeted the weak. It mercilessly hunted the local flock of Pidgey and Pidgeotto. These smaller birds stood no chance against the sheer aggression of the Fearow. They lived in a constant state of panic. They hid in the foliage, trembling as the predator circled above. Fearow dive-bombed the helpless Pidgey, scattering them in terror. The situation was dire. The local ecosystem was collapsing under the tyranny of this vengeful predator. Ash stumbled upon this massacre on his way back home. He watched in horror as the innocent birds suffered. He recognized the Fearow. He knew he was responsible for creating this monster. The guilt weighed heavily on his shoulders. He threw that rock. He started this war. Now the innocent Pidgey flock was paying the price for his childhood mistake. Ash knew he had to fix it. He sent out his own Pidgeotto to intercept the attack. The ensuing battle in the sky was nothing short of brutal. Pidgeotto fought with every ounce of its strength, but it was severely outmatched by the larger, more aggressive Fearow. The predator struck with relentless fury, battering Pidgeotto with vicious aerial attacks. Ash watched his beloved partner take a horrific beating. He saw the physical toll, the exhaustion, the sheer desperation in Pidgeotto's eyes. But Pidgeotto refused to yield. It looked down at the terrified Pidgey flock. It saw its own kind suffering. In that moment of intense peril, Pidgeotto pushed past its own limits. A blinding white light consumed its battered body, the sky illuminated with the radiant energy of evolution. When the light faded, Pidgeotto was gone. In its place hovered a majestic, incredibly powerful Pidgeot. The tables turned instantly. Pidgeot spread its massive wings and unleashed a devastating gust of wind. It moved with blinding speed, outmaneuvering the Fearow at every turn. The once terrifying predator now found itself outclassed by the sheer majesty of Pidgeot. With a final, crushing strike, Pidgeot defeated the Fearow, sending it fleeing into the distance. The skies belonged to the protector once again. The Pidgey flock gathered around their new savior. They chirped in celebration. Recognizing Pidgeot as their guardian, Ash watched this beautiful moment unfold. He felt a surge of pride for his partner, but that pride quickly turned to sorrow. He realized a heartbreaking truth. The Fearow was defeated, but it was not destroyed. It would return, and if Pidgeot left with Ash, the flock would be defenseless once more. Ash faced the ultimate test of character. He knelt down and looked Pidgeot in the eyes. He communicated an unspoken understanding. Pidgeot needed to stay. It needed to lead the flock. It needed to stand as the eternal guardian of the Vidian Forest. Ash placed the needs of wild Pokémon above his own desire to keep his powerful friend. This brings us to the most controversial moment of the entire scene. The final goodbye. Ash hugged his bird and spoke the words that would haunt the fandom for decades. He told Pidgeot to stay and protect the flock. Then he delivered the infamous promise. He said he would return right after he finished competing in the Orange Islands. Fans held onto that promise. We watched the Orange Islands arc with eager anticipation, waiting for the grand reunion. We watched Ash win the Orange League trophy. We watched him pack his bags and head back to Kanto. And we watched him walk right past the Vidian Forest without even looking up at the sky. The outrage was immense. How could he forget? How could the writers just ignore such a specific, undeniable vow? The answer lies in the deeply flawed world of English anime localization. We must expose the translation secret that fundamentally altered this story. The English dub produced by 4Kids Entertainment had a notorious habit of rewriting dialogue to add unnecessary stakes and specific timelines. They feared that children would lose interest if the story felt too open-ended. They injected the line about returning right after the Orange Islands to keep viewers hooked for the next season. But in the original Japanese broadcast, Ash never said those words. He never gave a specific timeline. He never promised to come back right after the Orange Islands. His original dialogue was far more vague and far more emotional. He simply told Pidgeot to guard the forest and promised that they would see each other again someday. He said he would return when his journey was finished. Someday. That single word changes everything. Ash did not lie. He did not break a specific timeline. He made a broad, overarching vow to reunite with his friend once he achieved his ultimate goal. The English dub unintentionally turned Ash into a liar. It manufactured a betrayal that never actually existed in the original vision of the story. Even with the translation error revealed, the wait was agonizing. 25 years is an eternity in the world of television. Ash traveled to Johto, Hone, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, and the sprawling world of journeys. He caught countless new Pokémon, he formed new bonds, he battled gods and legends. Through it all, the fandom never stopped asking questions. Where is Pidgeot? Will we ever see it again? Is it still waiting in that forest every time Ash visited Oak? Fans scoured the background for a glimpse of those familiar red and yellow feathers. The writers teased us endlessly. They brought back Charizard, they brought back Squirtle, they dedicated entire episodes to old reunions, but the skies of the Vidian Forest remained stubbornly empty. This silence only fueled the emotional weight of the eventual payoff. The writers knew exactly what they were doing. They were playing the longest game in anime history. They saved the ultimate reunion for the ultimate moment. Everything culminated in the final arc. Ash finally achieved the impossible. He defeated Leon. He claimed the title of Monarch. He stood at the very pinnacle of the Pokémon world as the undisputed world champion. His lifelong quest to become the very best was finally realized. The journey, for all intents and purposes, had reached its zenith. In the emotional mini-series aimed to be a Pokémon master, Ash returned to his roots. He wandered the familiar paths of Kanto, reflecting on everything he had learned, and inevitably his path led him straight back into the heart of the Vidian Forest. The tension in this episode was palpable. Team Rocket launched one final desperate attack. Pikachu was trapped. Ash was cornered. The situation looked incredibly bleak. Just when all hope seemed lost, a powerful gust of wind ripped through the forest canopy. A familiar, majestic screech echoed through the trees. A massive bird descended from the heavens, striking Team Rocket with breathtaking speed and precision. It was Pidgeot. After 25 years of waiting, after decades of guarding the flock, the guardian had returned to its master. The reunion was perfectly executed. Ash did not just stumble upon Pidgeot by accident. Pidgeot actively sought him out in his moment of need. It sensed its trainer was in danger and flew to his rescue. The bond between them had never decayed. The years apart had not diminished their loyalty. Ash looked up at his soaring companion. The animation swelled with gorgeous, nostalgic brilliance. He didn't offer a dramatic monologue. He didn't apologize for the long wait. He didn't need to. He simply smiled, raised his arm, and welcomed his old friend back to the team. Pidgeot swooped down, joining Ash and Pikachu for the remainder of their journey. This was not a forgotten plot hole lazily patched up at the last minute. It was a beautiful, decades-long mission finally fulfilled. Ash told the Japanese audience he would return when his journey was over. He kept that promise. He waited until he was the world champion. He waited until he proved himself to the entire world. Only then did he feel worthy of calling upon the guardian of the forest once more. Ash proved that a true master never forgets a friend. He demonstrated that true loyalty transcends time, distance, and even real-world localization errors. The boy who left a bird to protect a flock returned as a man, ready to fly alongside his legendary partner forever. If you want to uncover more hidden truths and deep lore secrets from the anime, hit that subscribe button right now. Do you have what it takes to explore the greatest mysteries of this world? Join us and let us find out together.